Programming in C Sharp and ASP.NET. This is Mr. Wilson, your instructor and guide as we take a closer look at C Sharp and ASP.NET. This is CS ASP 026 Introduction to Class Objects, Part 1. Let's go to Visual Studios.
Hey there, programmers. So what we want to do in this video, we're going to start by creating a project that we're going to call School App, okay? And it's going to be a console application, all right? And what I really want to do in this new project is to take some of the things that we've been learning in the last couple videos and put them together and use them all together so that we can start to get in the habit of knowing how to use classes and how to use methods and iteration and all of these tools together to do projects, okay, and to start to understand more how to streamline and smooth out the process of writing code. Okay, so I have created a console application here that is just called School App. Now, I called mine School App 1. You'll notice that up here. But just call your School App. I've written this many times, and so I'm using that, okay? Now, just like normal, we're going to get rid of this little hello world here and then open up some space so we've got some room to write code. But because I'm going to use a class with this project, I'm not going to put any code in here yet, okay? I'm going to build the class first. So if I come over here into my Solution Explorer and click on the name of my application, I'm going to right click, and that's going to open up this add window. You know, the build and rebuild and some of that is all here. But I'm going to come down here to add, and then I'm going to come down here to class, okay? So right click, add, and class. There we go. And so I'm going to call this class student. Just like that. And add. Okay. And so now it's added my student class to my project over here. Exactly what we wanted. Okay. So now that we've done that, there's some things that we want to add in here. Now, classes have really three kind of big components in them. Okay, the one is our variables, or as we'd sometimes call it, fields. Okay, so let's comment that in. I'm going to say fields / variables. And we're going to instantiate those, of course, always at the top of our class, so they're easy to find. The other thing that I'm going to put in here, and I'm going to put properties. Okay, properties, that's what the next step. And then, well, just need two. All right, properties. And then finally, methods. Okay. So now we've got fields, we've got properties, and we've got methods. All right. So let's just let's go ahead, and I'm going to put I'm just going to paste this in. I want you guys to write this out. I want you to stop me and write this out. But these are the main variables or fields that we're going to use in this class. We have strings for student number, student last name, student first name, major, score 1, score 2, and score 3. Okay? And so these are the main fields, variables that I'm going to use in this class in my project. Okay? All right. So the next thing that I'm going to do, if we come down here to properties, in properties, sorry, I want to go right up above this. I want to add in, there's there's a piece that I want to have, and that's a constructor. And constructors allow me to, when I'm setting up an object in my program, remember you'll have the name student for the project, my student equals new student when we set our object up for the first time. That's where we're going to use a constructor, okay? And constructors can come in different kinds, but we're going to build a few constructors for this project. And so I'm going to come in here, I'm going to say constructor. And under constructors, I'm going to create several different ones. The first one I'm going to create is my default. And a default constructor is very easy to build. It's the name of my class, student. Oh, sorry, here. I want to put in front of this public. Constructors are always public. Student. And then right after that, okay, that's it. That's my default constructor. It uses no arguments. It is the name of the class. All right. Okay. So then I want to build a constructor, and I'm going to use one argument. And the interesting thing about constructors, they're all named the same thing. So when I build it, I'm not going to change. I'm not going to change the name, but I am going to change the argument that's in it. So here is that constructor. I've just copied and pasted mine in there. You're going to type yours out. And here it is with one argument. Okay? All right, and the one argument in this case is student number. So I could create the object student with only one piece of information in my fields, and that would be student number. Okay, and notice how this works, how it's laid out. The constructor says student number, okay, equals SID, and SID is the information I pass in when I call this constructor, like a method call, except I'm going to call that constructor when I say student, my student equals new student. I'm going to put this constructor or this ID in the argument, and it's going to pass it straight into here. Okay? All right. And we'll see examples of this here a little bit later. And so notice student number is the same up here. Notice it's private up here, and this is public, a public constructor. Okay? So once I put the data in there, it's in a private field. All right. So let's make a constructor So that is constructor one argument. Okay. But let's say we wanted to create a constructor that was three arguments. How would we do that? It would look something like this. This is our constructor with 3 arguments. And if you need to stop me so that you can catch up, I understand that. Constructor 3 argument, public student, string, SID, string, last name, string, first name. And then notice down here in the constructor, it says student number equals student ID. Then student last name, and remember this is our field that we built up above, equals last name. The information we passed in here is put in here and then is put into our object. Okay, and then here is student first name. So that would give us the ability to build an almost complete object, and all we would have to do is add the major and these 3 scores that we need. So let's take this one step further. Let's build a constructor that will do all of those things. And I'm going to do this one with just a little different format of how to do this. But let's say we were going to make a constructor that used all the arguments. It could look like this. Here it is, public student again, string, and it gets the ID, the last name, the first name, the major, French, computer science, whatever their major in college is, and 3 scores, okay? And then it passes that into here. Oh, that's why. These are backwards. That should be major. And this has to be something else. Let's make it a capital. Okay. And let's make this one a capital. Okay. And now we've passed that into major. Okay. So, and I've used the little designator this and the instead here. Okay. I could also just leave it by itself since we are in the class, but I just wanted to show you this would be another way, and maybe a better way. When you're working as a programmer, your company may have standards where they like you to do it this way. Okay. All right. So now we have built several constructors in our project. I would say this would be a good time to save. I'll just click the save button up there, and I might also just go ahead and I might just build it just to make sure that everything says, hey, it's succeeded. So don't have any big mistakes yet. It wouldn't run, of course, because there's nothing in my static void main, right? We're still building our class. All right. So now the next thing that we want to do is I'm going to create those properties. We need the properties. And so what does this do when I do this? And let me show you one first. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to write public string public string, and then student num. And notice when I come over and I click the little screwdriver over there, it says, do you want to encapsulate this field? Okay, encapsulate this field. So we want to be able to, from our main, our static void main, we want to have access to the data that's in this variable over here. So we are creating a public string that is similar to our private string that has the information in it. But we want to set it up so that it just does one thing, so that you can either get the information from it, or set the information to it, or get the value, okay? And so we're going to do that with this by encapsulating it, okay? And we're going to use the properties that are in there, okay? And so this is what I want to do. And so I'm going to do that, and notice it gives me, it wanted to do something else up there. I don't want that. Okay. And let me just get this and tab. All right. And it put ones behind this, so I have to take those out. All right. I took both of those out, and now it's okay. It says, okay, I understand what you want. If we call student num, you want to be able to get the information, you want to be able to set the information, and you want to be able to get the value. Okay? Now, I know that's going to be a little bit confusing for a while. This is what's called a setters and getters, or mutators, okay? It allows us to change or alter the values or what's stored in our string. I'm going to copy mine in. Now notice what I did in that as I wrote them, you're just going to completely write them out. I kind of had the system build that for me and do it that way. But you're probably going to want to write all of these out rather than do that. This is what they should look like. Is just like that when you get done. If you have any red squiggly lines underneath there, there's probably a 1 or something behind here that needs to be set to the exact code that I've got on mine up here, okay? So make sure you do that. Everything has to be exact. All right, so stop me here. Go ahead and catch up by writing this code, and then we're moving on. Okay. All right. So our next step, now that we've built our properties, is to put our methods in, and we've got a couple of methods that we want. Our first method that we're going to want is we're going to create a method that's called calculate average. Okay, calculate average. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to put in calculate average. There it is. Go ahead and write that code. Notice what it does. It's going to return. It's going to take score 1, score 2, score 3, and it's going to add those all together, and then it's going to divide it by 3. Okay? The parentheses, of course, mean, hey, do this first. So it's going to add those together, and then it's going to divide all three of them by 3, and then it's going to return that back in the method call. All right? And that's where the double comes from. It's going to return a double back. All right, I've got one more. I'm going to create a, this is going to look a little odd to you because this is the first time we've done this too. I'm going to override the toString function in my program. And I'm going to create another method to use with toString. And we've used toString a lot, especially with the names of our variables. You know, if we had an integer and we want to put it into something so that we can print it out, we've used it for that. But here I'm going to create an override with it. And so here's my override, public override string. And then I wrote toString. And then my override here is to return, and it's going to return this string. I'm going to build this all so that I can return one piece of information back to my program to print out. Okay, and we've done that before. That's that concatenation property that we've used many times in the past. Okay. Let's see. I'm probably going to stop right here, and we're going to work on this as a part 2 in the next video. Okay, so so go ahead and catch up on this code, and I will and then we will write the rest of this code, the static void main, in the next video. I look forward to seeing you there.
Our next video is CS ASP 027 Introduction to Class Objects Part 2. I look forward to seeing you there.